How do ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, it's Yorkshire Blazeman here, and welcome to another episode of Historically Traditional, where I review and talk about historical and traditional knives. So, let's get in. So today I shall be reviewing for you the Czechoslovakian VZ24 Mauser bayonet. Now there are two versions of the VZ24, there is the shortened version and it's the longer version which I have, and I will go through how you can tell if yours is a shortened version or a longer version and how you can differentiate between the two bayonets, because if you have one of them you might think that's the longest one, but I'll show you anyway. So the Czechoslovakian VZ24 Mauser bayonet. This bayonet, as I said, was used by the Czechoslovakia, which nowadays is the Czech Republic and Slovakia. The Czechoslovakia was an independent country during the wars, and then after it was taken over by the communists. Communist Party took over, but they were never. Czechoslovakia, the guy who run, I forgot who he's called, the communist leader at the time, fell out with Russia and the Soviets, and he sort of was more to the Western diplomacy alliances apart from his fellow communists. So anyway, the bayonet itself is quite a big one for a Mauser bayonet, if I'm totally being honest with you. I will show a size comparison now. So this is my other Portuguese Mauser bayonet. Oh, sorry, this is my other Mauser bayonet of a sword bayonet style. This is the Portuguese Mauser bayonet, and if I just compare it from hilt to hilt, which you can see is roughly similar, you are missing quite a substantial, well, I say substantial, but it is a noticeable size difference. If I take them out of a sheath, or a scabbard, if we're going to be even more, correct in grammar and of our bayonets, here we go. You're missing about an inch of blade, and that could be, the difference between life or death. Put that away and put this back in the scabbard for the time being. I will go over the information first, and then talk about the features and everything like that on this bayonet. Okay, so the final VZ24 bayonet, which this one is, was production variant, because as I said there was two, was manufactured after the communist takeover in 1948. These bayonets were produced for 2 years, from 1948 until 1950, when the Kar 98 rifle production ended. So the Czechoslovakian government was using the Mausers, the Kar 98, as their standard service rifle for many years. And then when the communists took over, it swapped to the Kalashnikov. And then what you would see is this bayonet disappear, and then the Czechoslovakia introducing the VZ567, I think it was, which was very interesting bayonet. And if you find one in good condition, it's quite rare, because the VZ567, I think it was, if I will just find an image on my phone for you, was unique in itself because of the design and of the scabbard itself. Because normal bayonets at the start of the war were metal or leather, with a wooden thing like the Enfield Wilkinson bayonet. But then, after the war, you normally see it is plastic and a Bakelite, especially for the Russians and the communists, and like a hard duty plastic like the Spanish Setme and the American M1 Grand bayonets and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, they then replaced this bayonet with the VZ58. I got it wrong, and this was the VZ bayonet they replaced it with. So as you can see, a very small bayonet with a spear point blade, slight curvature to the handle, and sharpened on both sides. And what was interesting about that bayonet was, because if you look on the images here, these are just different variants, it was a leather scabbard mounted to the side where the belt loop was. So when it was positioned onto your belt, it was easier to pull it out rather than having it straight down. I did have the opportunity to pick one of those up, but I didn't have £30 on me, so anyway, I didn't. So yeah, when the Kar 98 rifle was stopped, when Mauser decided to finally stop production of them, and whatever reason, I don't know why, the Czechoslovakian government stopped using these bayonets and switched to the 58. Now, as this is a communist period bayonet, they are typically marked with TGF, as the communist government adopted a letter code system similar to that used by the Germans from 1940 to 1945. They would have some markings on there, an alphabetical system, so you know where everything was and where it was produced and where it came from, instead of having a lot of stamp marks on your bayonet. So, a TGF was the Czech letter code for Zbrojga Brno. So that means the Brno Armory, BRNO Armory, and I probably butchered that pronunciation of Zbrojga Brno. Please let me know, but I definitely think I'm butchering that. So that just means it's from the Brno Army, which is now in Slovakia, funny enough. It's a town in Slovakia. But when it was formed, when Czech Republic and Slovakia were formed together, they were produced mainly these bayonets, which one this one is. Now, so, as I said, this is from the communist period, and so I've given you some facts and information about this bayonet, as much as I can find out about it. If you know any more information, let me out. It is interesting how I'll just see the differences between Mauser bayonets, which I will show you in just a few moments. But let's just go with some specs. So, the blade length of this bayonet is 11.75 inches or 298mm. The overall length is 17 inches, and that is 432mm. And the muzzle diameter here is 0.610 inches and 15.6mm. I have that information from worldbayonets.com. It's a great website. This is not sponsored at all. I just use it a lot to find information out. So if you ever want, that's my little piece of paper I have all my information on. If you have a bayonet you don't know about or anything like that, just go on it. It's a fantastic website and you'll find a lot out. So, gone over the specs, gone over the history of the bayonet, let's go into the features of this bayonet. So, I picked this up at a flea market, whereas Americans say just like an auction market type thing, in a town called Thirsk in North Yorkshire. And then I was speaking to a collector who had it. I've got his card. He was a really nice guy. James, are you watching? It's our mate. When he was selling it as a Yugoslavian bayonet. And since my bayonet expertise is not really to the east, or Eastern Europe, it's mainly to the west, with Spanish, Portuguese, English, stuff like that. So I thought, okay, for £40, it looks in great condition. Lovely neck, a nice style sword bayonet from post World War II, I thought, or it could be actually from World War II. I thought for £40 I'll pick it up, and I did, surprisingly enough. And then doing some research, I found out it was a Czechoslovakian one, and they look very similar, the Yugoslavian to the Czechoslovakian bayonets, but there's one difference on the blade, which I will go into, which made me thought this was an actually reproduction or a copy or a fake, but actually it wasn't, and my worry was ended then. So anyway, so we have a nice blued scabbard, typical Mauser scabbard. We have wood handle with 2 pins connecting the guard to the handle to the tang, and then we have your back metal eagle like hook type thing, typical of the Mauser style bayonets, which you can see on the Portuguese one, that little hook, like eagle type thing, I call it. And then we have your typical slot here, and then your diameter of the muzzle. So your average typical bayonet, sword bayonet from the time. Now the frog is a reproduction, but you can hardly tell because it's actually in really good condition, quality leather, aged well with the bayonet. So then, if you weren't a bayonet collector and you bought it, you wouldn't think anything of it. I don't think, because it's just, such nicely well done. nicely aged and everything. Because of this being so realistic, it is also very hard to take the bayonet out of the frog. I haven't actually done it. I've tried to, but I can't do it. So I haven't seen any markings at all underneath here because I can't get the bloody thing off. And I don't want to risk damaging the frog, so I'm going to keep it on there. So there will be some markings down here. Hopefully, well, there should be, but I haven't seen it. But judging the condition of it and everything like that, I know this is a proper bayonet and it's not scabbing and it's not a reproduction or anything like that. So now we come to the most important thing, the bayonet itself, which, looking at it, it is in perfect condition. There are a few marks on that handle, your scratches and dints and stuff like that, but that just tells me it's got a bit of heritage to it, you know, a bit of action. There is a few minor chips along the blade, but you can't really see. It's just putting my hand along, and the tip here is a bit bent. As you can see, you can just sharpen it up, you know, sharpen that and get it back to its original point, but it's just been dented and chipped like that, which is a shame. I just noticed that now actually, but apart from that is very nice. You have like a grey colour satin finish to it, which shines lovely and it's a nice finish to it. And a fun, interesting thing about these bayonets is the edge is facing up with the ring. Unlike normal bayonets, sword bayonets that is, again I'm referring back to my Portuguese bayonet, the edge is just below the ring, so you've got your edge here and your ring here, and that can be seen for your British pattern 1907 bayonet. You've got your ring here, your edge down there, and it can be seen as well on a Swedish Mauser 1886, ring here, blade there. The only other bayonet I have seen that has the edge where the muzzle ring is on the first bayonet for the Kalashnikov. So this was an very interesting design for a sword bayonet, and I believe, well, seeing it on the Russian bayonet, the first Kalashnikov bayonet, I think that might have been a Russian, you know, thing just to do that. So yeah, so there's a comparison how the blade looks backwards compared to another Mauser bayonet, but it's not. It's just how it's been designed. So that way. So there is a bit rust and patina on the handle guard, but nothing major. I sprayed on some WD-40 on it, just wiped it all down and cleaned off some Cosmoline. You've got yourself two standard bolsters in the handle securing all together, and then you have a nice thick tapered blade. The bayonet blade is straight and there's no curvature to it, which is great. The only fault on it is, well, damage is that tip, but anyway. We have the classic pin system here, push it to release the bayonet itself, and then we have the important markings. So there's nothing here, nothing along the guard. Sometimes you see markings here, depends on some bayonets, but surprisingly, which is weird, all the markings are on the back. But I'll go on that into a minute. And on here, this is the most important part to define, which helped me to define this bayonet. It is, if it's going to focus, I hope it will, my camera, the E3 looks like a lion with 48 on it there. Now, I think you can see that there, just E3 line 48, and if it's hard to see, to show you my note card, my rough little drawing, the E3 line 48, just like that. Now, that shows you that this is the final production of these bayonets, and shows that it's the large VZ24. The shortened VZ48, sorry, I'm going to confuse with markings now. The shortened VZ24s have on that part here E3 Lion 4424. I'm just going to double check that because I've only made notes on my one. The earlier ones before this VZ24, they have on it the E346, sorry. So that's just a difference between them. So this is the last sword bayonet produced by the Czechoslovakian armory at Brno. On the back of the pommel of the bayonet we have, we have VA1322 TGF. Now, as I said, the TGF stands for, not for thank God it's Friday, but for the Russian communist takeover of Czechoslovakia. The 1322 is the stamp issue number, which is surprising to see it's not on the pommel here, on the sides, unlike typical Mauser bayonets, but there you go. And I do not know what the VA stands for, which is a bit interesting. Unlike other bayonets I've seen of these VZ24s, just looking at the website, the other bayonets, well, unlike this one, this VZ24 one does not have markings on here, unlike the previous one do, but this one doesn't, which I think, I'm not sure why, but that's just the case. You will see quite a few variations of the code here, the identification reference number there, and then sums on the back. I think it just depends on where it was made or how he stamped it and everything like that. I'm not sure. If anyone doesn't know what the VA stands for on the pommel, do let me know. So, this has been a quick review of the Czechoslovakian VZ24 bayonet, just to provide you some information, help you understand, not really understand, but help you, people who have picked up one of these bayonets, a Czechoslovakian bayonet, to find out what one they actually have, and not to worry about if they got concerned about the blade, which I did. I thought, hang on a minute, it's someone's just it's a fake, it's a copy, but it's not, so that's fine. The bayonet itself fits perfectly into the scabbard, and it's not going to come out with. I know it's secure with this, but just pushing it out, it's fine. It won't come out if it's firmly in. Just a quick thing: if people are worried about having a reproduction frog on bayonets, I think if you have a decent quality one, it's fine. It's just going to help show off how the bayonet would be like. Unfortunately, I have only one other bayonet with a frog, and it's this one here, the first Kalashnikov bayonet. So I think if you can find an original one, that is absolutely fantastic. You should definitely use it. But if you can't, and if you can find a decent quality reproduction one, we'll just get it, because it helps make the bayonet look more aesthetic. And if you're ever going to sell it, you can either include the frog or not include the frog. It's fine. Normally, if you have a reproduction frog and you sell it at an auction, the price does decrease because it's not actually part of the original thing. But then you could just take the frog off and sell it on eBay or something like that, or sell it separately. It's entirely up to you. But I think if you can find the frog in good condition, in a reproduction frog in good condition, fits perfectly, then why not buy it? Complete the bayonet. But it's even better if you can find an original one. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give a big thumbs up, give more extreme than that, subscribe to my channel because it really helped me grow. This has been another episode of Historically Additional with your host, the Yorkshire Blazeman, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.